can uplift all of humanity in our very existence of what we're doing. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Does it sound okay? I mean, because part of this, a new earth, is looking for purpose in your life and saying, like, what am I here for? And how important is life? How precious is life? What can I do to uplift humanity? And what this is saying is that when we become conscious beings, that what happens is then we lift humanity up. And we have a song that we do once in a while, is one from the Muhammad Ali movie, and it's When We Were Kings. And this is when one man climbs, the rest are lifted up. And I love that line because that's the reminder of this. And that's how important it is to do this work. You know, a lot of times we say, okay, you know, I want to be spiritual. It's important to me to connect with all of this. But, you know, what's in it for me? Like, what am I going to get out of it? What's the value in doing my spiritual work? What happens when you don't do it? Think about that. If nobody wanted to be conscious, to be concerned, to be compassionate, to be all those things that spirituality brings to us, what would our world be like? So here, when we talk about these things, it's so important to, when we think about stuff like, because it's kind of almost cartoonish to think of the pain body, you know. There's this pain body that we have, and it's a collection of unexpressed emotions and places of hurt within us, and it is one of those difficult things to deal with, because if you ever see the work of Joseph Campbell, he talks about our awareness and our consciousness as a circle. And then he has just the top, a line going right through the top, and maybe not even a quarter of that top of that circle, he says, is what we are conscious of. And then the bottom part, he says, that's our unconscious. So in that realm, our all is this pain body lurking around, that's collecting the emotions and the stories that go along with it. It's not just the emotion, it's the story. How many people today have actually repeated an old story in their life? To somebody in your head. Did you go over something that happened? Maybe, you know, something with your parents, something with a sibling, something with your children when they were young, and you went over that story, and you were like, could have done it differently, or why did they do that to me? And that's your pain body just feeding away. That's what it does. It's just feeding away on that old stuff. Of course, in Miracles says, you are far too tolerant of mind wandering. You know, we let the mind just wander. We don't be conscious and focused and be present to the glory and the grace and the goodness that is here right now. We're having an outdoor service right now. There's many things going on. I love that idea in A Peaceful Warrior. If you haven't seen the movie of that, it's so fun. He says, there's never nothing going on. There is magical, mystical moments going on as butterflies flutter by, as the grass is literally growing beneath our feet. The trees are bringing in that sunlight and creating food. There is amazing, wonderful things going on right here and now, and you could be feeling some of it. And being a part of it, being nourished by it. Instead, we're in our heads, stuck on, what do I got to do later? What's the schedule for the weekend? Maybe somebody will hang out with me. Oh, did I not do this before I left the house? Or all of just the busy stuff that goes on in our heads. So I say this to try to get into this idea of breaking free from the pain body, which is so seductive because it's so entrenched in this idea that I'm right. Right? I'm right.
Yeah.
I've had these feelings, they hurt, and people aren't acknowledging me, and I don't like it, and I don't want to ever have to do that again. But meanwhile, I'm doing it over and over and over again to myself. because those thoughts are then feeding this pain body. So we come together today to think about the idea of how do we break free from it? How do we get out of this? How do we live in the glory? Well, we started out with heaven help me. That is one thing as gathering of light that we are willing to do. We're willing to say, whatever power there is in the universe, come in and make me a part of all that is going on in a way that I am aware, awake, attuned, in the grace of it, living that. So that, because he says that pain bodies actually feed off each other. So if and he also says that you know people who have dense pain bodies, you can kind of feel them in the room, right? They come in with all their traumas and dramas. They come in with all their shticks, and they're like, this is who I'm going to be in the room, and everybody's going to love me. Or they come in with all of that whole ego drama that they bring into the room, and it's heavy, and it's dense. And you know, when you leave the room, you feel drained, right? You feel drained. But at the same time, you feel justified, because that your own pain body kind of gets activated in there. You know, I'm a better person than that, and I don't do that, and we get all these things going on, and it feels like this never-ending loop. But as we said in our words of wisdom, the first step in getting rid of the pain body, of breaking free from it, is first to be brutally honest with yourself, and admit that you have a pain body. And if we can do this idea of really, we could step out, we want to step out of the roles, we want to step out of the ego. This is not actually, we're talking the pain body is like a deeper version of, it's like the inside of the onion of the ego thought system, right? This is the place where the emotions are attaching to the thoughts, right? So this is really the inner core where all those emotions are connecting with us. So how do we break free? He says, first recognize. And we're going to do a meditation that will lead us through Eckhart's plan of how he walked through with somebody else, and he talked about it in the book. But I want to also offer to you another way, which I loved out of Radical Compassion by Tara Brach. She talks about a Buddhist concept of this way of breaking free and understanding, and it's called RAIN. And that's the acronym for first recognize, then accept, then investigate, and then nurture. So this is your RAIN. She's not the first one to do this, but she added the nurture part, which I love. That brings in the compassion part of it. So first, when you see it coming, because you can almost feel something's bubbling up, when you know that you're reacting to a situation a lot more intensely, or you could feel yourself going to react to a situation a lot more intensely than that situation actually deserves, right? Somebody forgot something, and you're like ready to, you're pouncing on them. They just forgot something. The scheme of life, how important is it? But you're in that emotional state. Right? So you recognize it, right? Then you accept. We need to accept. I'm a raging lunatic in this moment. I'm caught in all these emotions. This is who I am. This is in this moment. This is what I'm feeling in this moment. Then I can investigate. I can say, is this necessary? So the allowing lets you be gentle with yourself, be loving. And then you nurture. And you say, what do you need that can help you? What do I need in this moment? This compassion, this way of love. Does it mean getting on your knees? Does it mean singing that song? Does it mean, moving your body and getting out and taking a walk to help you physically move it? What does it mean to nurture yourself in this? Because you know you're not that. But that's what you're experiencing in this moment. So that's the RAIN. So we can break through. We need to break through. Because the more that we break down, the more that we allow for that energy that has been encapsulated and trapped within us to bring us down to a lower sense of being, the more that we can take that energy now and use that energy to say, I'm doing something compassionate for myself, I'm doing something loving for myself. Now when I come into a room, I don't want to connect to your pain body. I want to connect to the grace and the goodness and that higher sense of you. And I know that that is there, and I don't fall into it the same way. Do you see how that works? Are we more determined now to make that happen? To know that we can have open, compassionate, loving hearts and not have to be frightened of what somebody else's pain body can do to us. It's a glorious thing. Next week we'll go on because there's more good stuff ahead. And so it is. So it is.